Jonah. How you doing, man?
I'm awesome. Good morning. 1 million cups. Here we are. Here's my coffee.
Oh, right. That looks great. I saw him pour it. I didn't know what was in it, so we're going to assume it is coffee.
It's got to be.
I know. Kate with the Downtowners here. We've got an awesome program ahead of you. We've got our Minot Takeover. So we are going to let Jonah and the crew from Minot take this baby for a spin, a real spin. So Jonah, I'm going to talk you through this, right? This is the parallel parking version. This is the let's check the headlights kind of situation. So we've got our welcome screen. We usually go to the next slide, which says nothing. And then we go, there we go.
Welcome to 1 million cups.
Great. I like it. I like what you're doing. Okay, next slide. What do we got?
Download and check in. So what for everybody out there, if you're tuning in, there's a 1 million cups app. Am I wrong? Am I right?
Yes, there's a 1 million cups app. This is from the Kauffman Foundation in Kansas City. It helps us track who's coming. You can sign up. You can get notifications about who's going to be on our stage. And if Minot has a chapter, who's going to be on the Minot stage. So download, check in. We really appreciate that.
Yeah, we like that. Big thanks to all the sponsors, too. You can't do this kind of thing without sponsors.
Absolutely, Jonah. Normally in the pre-times, what we have done is we kind of say something funny about, hey, if you see these guys out in public, give them a high five, give them a big wet kiss or something. But now that it's COVID, it's maybe like an elbow tap or maybe a nicely worded email. I don't know.
No kisses or high fives to strangers anymore.
I know. So we try and think of something funny that we put in there, but also absolutely want to thank our sponsors. They help us pay for Dakota Stage, pay for the coffee, and they're just integral to us having 1 million cups in Bismarck and hopefully in Minot very soon.
Can't do it without them.
So usually, Jonah, we go through hey, what is 1 million cups? 1 million cups is a free weekly program that gives either entrepreneurs, startups, community builders a few minutes to pitch their idea or talk about what they're doing, and then have a robust Q&A at the end to really challenge them, ask them questions, give them advice, and really we do this so that we can hold that startup community into the light here, as well as help them out. And the next slide usually says, how can we change the face of our community by getting together, connecting over 1 million cups of coffee. Jonah, when you're doing the Minot emceeing, we also make a funny joke about how many cups we're at to 1 million cups of coffee. And the MC usually tries to make a guess.
I'm telling you, individually, just on the year, 1 million cups aside, I'm halfway there. I'm not going to get there in 2020, but I'm halfway there. Come on.
We've got to be in the hundreds of thousands at the Bismarck group. So
you guys are up there.
Yeah, we're cruising. So, Jonah, we also
there's a hashtag. Hashtag 1MCND. Everybody use it, right? If you're watching, you tune in, you drop that hashtag, you share this, and you ask a question whenever you comment. Hashtag 1MCND. That's us. That's you. That's me.
It's great. You can also ask questions in the stream on Facebook or on Twitter. We'll be able to pull them into the feed as well. So, yes, use hashtag, or for those who are over 50, # 1MCND.
Yeah, questions are a big part of this. As you said, a robust Q&A at the end, but we can't have that without the Q part.
That's right.
That's on you, the listeners, right?
Absolutely.
And me, absolutely.
Yeah. It's tough, I've been an MC for many years, and if there's no questions coming in, it gets dicey.
You're like, trying to think back to what they said during their presentation. What could be a good question? Yeah. Community announcements. Do you got any?
Yeah, I have a couple. I think mine's the second slide. So if yours is the first, go for it, John.
I don't know where I put mine in there. I just tried to squeeze it in. Mine's the first. It's not really a community announcement. It's the new show on the Good Talk Network, of course. I am Jonah. I run the Good Talk Network. We produce podcasts and Facebook Live content. Our newest podcast, people are freaking out about it, and we're really excited. It's called Midwest Murder. It is a true crime podcast co-hosted by Dawn Dugan-Palumbo. She's a fellow amazing Minotian. We release new episodes every other Monday. So episode 2 just dropped this week. People are hyped for it, and I just wanted to share Midwest Murder with all of you.
That's a sweet logo. And murder podcasts are always high on.
Yes, true crime. Get it.
Yes.
That's all I got.
Okay, I have a couple announcements. I and one slide here, Bismarck Mandan COVID-19 testing sites. This is the updated slide as of last week. So please check ahead, but there are new sites and new testing times if you want to get tested in Bismarck Mandan. Really encourage you to go to testreg.nd.gov to pre-register. It helps, and you don't have to wait in line so long, which is great. Also, the chamber, as well as some sister organizations like ours, are going to be doing some on Thursday, the 12th, kind of a free info session on Bismarck's new pandemic mitigation strategies, which is a fancy way of saying they're encouraging you to wear a mask, et cetera, et cetera. As long as some, they're going to have some incentives, a few other things to talk about there. So if you're interested, go to bismarckmandan.com. You can register at the chamber if you want to find out more about Bismarck's new pandemic mitigation strategies.
Perfect.
Is that it? That's it for community.
I think that's it. Community announcements.
Okay, so I'm giving you the keys here, Jonah. Don't scratch it, and I will be back for. I'll be your mic runner as we get to the Q&A. So I'm going to bring in your first guest.
Bringing in our first guest today, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to 1 Million Cups, the one and only Allison Auch. She's a community leader in Minot who started the amazing organization Full Steam Ahead, and she's been a part of a lot of great things in the community. I am not going to talk too much. I'll let her do the talking, but Allie, she was a guest on Goodnight Minot. She started the Make a Scene Kids Theater. She has pioneered robotics in Minot that ultimately led to a pretty big boost in the robotics community statewide. Robots, T-ball league, kickball, theater, Allie Auch. It's full steam ahead. I'll let her tell you the story. Thanks for being here with us, Allie.
Thanks so much, Jonah. This is so exciting. I love 1 Million Cups, and to be taken to this virtual stage is just humbling. So I'm going to tell you about what we've done and where we've come from and where we're going. So buckle up. Here we go. So, most of you know, so Full Steam Ahead, it's not every day that a community like Minot gets behind a goal, a vision, an idea. And in 2017, only just 3 short years ago, Minot got behind Full Steam Ahead, and we haven't looked back. Full Steam Ahead, like Jonah said, is a youth nonprofit organization. We do children's theater, we do coding, we do robotics, we do kids clay. We do so many events in the community. Our Lego robotics programming is now for ages 6 to 17. Our Cyber Patriot program, which is a national cybersecurity program, we kicked off last year, and we're looking at launching some Girls Who Code programming soon here this year, which we're super excited about. Theater, which was our maiden voyage into the community. Many of you know, as Jonah said, Make a Scene Kids Theater. And prior to COVID, we had built up to delivering multiple youth plays to the community. It's on stage and behind stage that these experiences help kids develop confidence, public speaking skills, and to unleash their creativity. Chess, pottery, sign language, we could just go on and on and on. So it's these programs that Full Steam Ahead has brought to our community in the last couple of years that have grown and flourished with the support of our community. And so, as I mentioned before, Make a Scene Kids Theater was our mothership program. Make a Scene Kids Theater was a successful startup youth nonprofit, allowing hundreds of kids in just a couple of years to take to the stage. It was the success of Make a Scene Kids Theater that brought attention to the idea of us spreading our wings in our community. So it quickly became the kind of the do what no one else is willing to do. Mask was so successful, we were approached about growing our local robotics community. We had some youth robotics teams that were already meeting in the community, and a brilliant librarian, I don't know if she's listening, but Miss Paula, she said, this needs to grow, this robotics programming in Minot. And so we called a meeting of the minds, because, obviously robotics doesn't necessarily fit under a youth theater, right? And after the meeting of many potential organizations in our community who could possibly run with growing the robotics programming, we kind of came up empty-handed. And that is when Full Steam Ahead was born. And that story seems so confusing to so many, because when I'm approaching the community, people say, don't you run the kids theater? And I say, well, yes. And so that's kind of the connection, the background to how Make a Scene Kids Theater became Full Steam Ahead. And so now Full Steam Ahead is our umbrella organization for Make a Scene Kids Theater, Minot Robotics, Kids Clay, chess camps, Cyber Patriot teams, Girls Who Code clubs that'll be launching soon here, our after school enrichment program, the Sertoma T-Ball League, and the Minot Kickball League. And so one question I was asked was to think about, when I think about 5 years from now, a lot of people are probably thinking, oh boy, what's she going to release? What are they growing into next? And although I always have my ears and my eyes open to what is out there as far as programming nationally and internationally that we can bring to our youth in Minot, my word for the next 5 years is definitely stability. In just 3 short years since Full Steam Ahead has come about, and 5 years since Make a Scene Kids Theater, we have grown so much with collaborations with organizations like Minot State University, and hopefully here with the Minot Air Force Base with our Cyber Patriot program. We are having so much fun with the programs we have already brought. With our robotics programming, my hope was that boys and girls would come ready to learn about coding, building robots, programming, but this isn't what we've seen. We see girls stepping back, lacking in their confidence in the computer science arena. And so we quickly jumped on the Girls Who Code opportunity. And we want to give these girls a different opportunity to build their confidence and gain strength in their abilities. With theater, we've taken a step back due to COVID, but we're ready to jump ahead again. Theater fills a gap for so many. So whether there's an athlete who wants a creative outlet, they already have their team, but they're looking for that avenue to get out their creativity, or whether it's a kiddo who doesn't have a team, maybe they don't enjoy athletics. And so they're looking for that team, and the theater quickly becomes that. And so the cast becomes a family, and by the last curtain call of every single show, there's tears shed, and the kids are just one big creative family. If I look to 2025, you'll see numerous robotics teams coming out of Minot, competing at the regional, state, and national levels, multiple cybersecurity teams. You will continue to see amazing theater productions to help these kids grow in their creativity, their public speaking abilities, and their desires to create art. As we continue to come up against many challenges, as we all know, 2020 has thrown its fair share of challenges at us. We are looking to create safe, accessible programming and maintain our financial stability. So I have a slide here that reviews a little bit of our financials. And if you look at it, there are some program fees for some of our programming. We, of course, we try to offer most of our programming for free. And some of our programming has to be offered for free. We do rely on donations and fundraising. So, for instance, the Sertoma Club of Minot has donated $10,000 for the last 2 years to our organization for our T-Ball League. And overall, so I mentioned that T-Ball League before, that was kind of a, whoops, landed in my lap. And now it's become a $30,000 fundraiser for Full Steam Ahead, when 600 youth in our community can take to the field in the summer, 3 to 6 year olds, they raise money for Full Steam Ahead. We rely on sponsorships. For that T-Ball League, we have 54 individual businesses in the community that sponsor those 54 teams. We also have SRT, who has come through in sponsoring our FLL Explore Robotics. We have Women United. We did their Little Black Dress campaign last year, which raised money to launch Girls Who Code. And then our 2 biggest grants are our Otto Bremer grant that we've fortunately gotten, and actually just got an email this morning that we received it again, so yay! And then United Way locally has come in with grant monies to help us out. If you look at our overall numbers there, our income and our expenses, never in a million years would have I thought that Full Steam Ahead would be running these kind of numbers. We started in the basement of a local elementary school, rent-free. Yeah, it's a little overwhelming at times to think that in 2021 we're budgeted to bring in $143,000 and spend $121,000. It's extremely humbling, but the community gets behind that full force. We try to keep our overhead low so that we don't have a lot of expenditures that we're trying to cover, and just really focus on the youth in our community. And so I see Full Steam Ahead sometimes as the fluff. I say that often. And when you're looking to support a nonprofit that puts a roof over someone's head versus a nonprofit that, like us, provides, in theory, extracurricular youth activities, it's sometimes hard for me even to apply for funding, especially during this COVID time. We have an amazing nonprofit community in Minot, which has presented a challenge and will continue to challenge us at Full Steam Ahead to think outside the box and to get creative when it comes to financials, programming, and fundraising. This, you guys, is why you see goat yoga, why you've seen a haunted car wash, and why you hear that T-Ball League is supporting a coding, robotics, and theater youth nonprofit. And as always, the community of Minot continues to show up to support what I call the fluff. We hear the saying over and over again that our youth are our future. And we at Full Steam Ahead took this saying as a challenge. If it's true, if our youth are our future, then what are we doing to nurture them, to support them, and to challenge them, and to help them grow? I can't speak for all the North Dakota, the US, or even the world, but I can say Minot, Full Steam Ahead is ensuring the best for our youth. So thanks for having me this morning. I'm so excited for the question and answers.
Bravo. Big thanks to you, Allie, for all that you've done, and congratulations on everything that you've accomplished. I've sincerely enjoyed my portion of being a part of your journey. And we'll save some questions to the end, if I'm not mistaken. Next up, we have another really, really amazing dude that I had the chance to meet here in Minot a few years back, and we've been involved together in a cool projects. He is the owner and proprietor of Urban Winery. He's also an artist. If you notice my friend Bill Murray, who hangs out with me during a lot of podcasts, our next 1MC contributor here today is Eric Hansen. This is not a poster. This is his artwork. But he's so much more than just an artist. I will let Eric share with you the story of Urban Winery.
Woo! Thank you, Jonah. Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here. As far as my story goes with Urban Winery, I opened to the public in June of 2017. But it's actually, it started long before that. This started as a hobby. I just wanted to make wine. I had this romantic notion of having a dinner party and going down to the cellar to pair wine with everything that I was going to serve my guests. And short of winning the lottery, the only way I was going to be able to do that was to make it. So that was a long time ago. And I still have some of that wine, which is really cool. The business took off. It was supposed to be a rocking chair career, something that I could do with my career, something that I did mostly at night and on weekends. But just short of 2 months of opening, I had to put in my 2 weeks notice with my real job, and things took off like I never imagined that they could. And I haven't turned back since. It's in-house winemaking. You come in, taste a few different wines, and if you find something that you like, you have the opportunity to make it. I take everything from fermentation to bottling. So depending on the wine that you choose, it could be 5 weeks, it could be a couple of months before you come in and have your own bottling party. And the bottling parties are really a lot of fun, especially for couples that are about to be married. And that's a beautiful thing. When you get a young couple that are engaged to be married and they come in to make the wine for their reception, that bottling party is a lot of fun. You get both sides of the family that haven't spent a whole lot of time together. And it's usually the week of the wedding, so everybody comes in a little done, but usually by that third glass, everybody is into the joy of the moment, and it's a real bonding experience for the family. It's a real honor to be a part of that, and it's fun to watch families come together. Other than that, it's just it's small groups of friends, co-workers that get together and make and split up these batches of wine. the challenges we have right now with COVID, the military's got some very strict restrictions right now, and that's hurt a little bit. So COVID's really kind of put a dent in it and really kind of slowed things down. But I guess you have to look for those silver linings, how we can do business a little differently. Whether it's curbside tasting totes that people can have a tasting at home, or just getting wine ready for the holidays for people that want to have gifts, small gifts that they can share with their coworkers, their friends, and their family. Looking ahead 5 years, boy, that's a tough one. Before all this COVID started, I was in preparation for possibly opening up in other North Dakota cities and hiring. And you kind of have to think on a smaller scale right now, see what happens, see how things shake out. But that's still the vision. And it's also the vision to possibly start making wine on a commercial level. I've come up with a few recipes. I've got a couple of groups that get together and experiment with different flavors, infusing wines with different liquors. Jameson has been a popular one to pair with a cab. The wine industry had come out with bourbon barrel cabs, and that started a whole thing of, how can we infuse some of these flavors into the wine? And one of the most popular ones we came up with was a Moscato that we paired with Thai chili peppers. So you get the sweet and the spice. And that's been really a fun wine, even for, this community that thinks spice is pepper. But we've got a new one that just come out. It's the first breakfast wine ever made. It's a Pinot Noir that I fermented with French roast coffee, and then I back sweetened with the Ghirardelli dark chocolate. So we call it Cafe Mocha Noir.
Wow.
But it's a hangover cure. That much I can guarantee. It's cured 3 hangovers of mine. So yeah, that's my story. The art was just kind of fell into my lap. I had come to the community, the artist community here, and wanted to pair art with wine, and it was there was some reluctance. People didn't want to. They wanted exclusivity. They wanted a lot of money to display their art, and I just didn't see it. So I started painting again. I hadn't painted in over 30 years, and now it's really kind of taken off in a direction that I never imagined. So it's been the biggest blessing because it's a very meditative process, and I really enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. So that's it for Urban Winery.
Awesome. Bravo.
Forward. Thank you.
Bravo, Eric. I want to just add to Eric. I've been to Urban Winery, and I know we have a lot of people. This is 1MC Minot Takeover, but for those of you in Bismarck, if you ever get up to Minot, I think that Urban Winery is one of the must-see destinations in our community. It is an absolutely amazing atmosphere, and the portraits that you see behind Eric adorn every inch of the wall space in Urban Winery, and it's so cool. And I know, Eric, you mentioned at the tail end there that the art just sort of fell into your lap. You hadn't painted in over 30 years. I look at a lot of these businesses, and most business models seem to need added revenue streams. And did you intend on selling your art, or when people came in there as a group, they were like, hey, is this for sale? And then you were like, well, yeah, I guess so, because I see people walking out of there with new art all the time. And I feel like what an essential piece to that Urban Winery puzzle to add a bonus revenue stream. When you see this idea scaling, how do you scale the art with the idea in other places? Because you're not there to make that art where people can buy it. Because I feel like that's a maybe an important part of the revenue aspect is the art.
Well, it certainly has been a real surprise revenue stream. Yeah, you're right. When I first started, I was amazed that someone wanted to buy something that I painted, and it's been a significant part of the business.
Well, you do commissions too. It's not even just what's on your wall. You've taken commissions.
Yeah, I've done a lot of commission work. In fact, we're in that time of year now where people ask me to do grandkids, kids, pets, loved ones long since passed, and that's challenging and fun too. But yeah, it was never part of the program to begin with, and as things grow, hey, I can't think of a better thing to do than spend a few hours painting, especially when we're coming up on wintertime where outdoor activities are a little more limited.
Yeah, they make amazing gift ideas. Well, let's see what the audience wants to hear from you guys. We've got a question from Chelsea Gleick for Allie. Allie, where do you get inspiration for your out-of-the-box fundraising ideas? She's an ideas battery.
Yeah, Chelsea, thanks for the question. So, middle of the night, right? And then honestly, it's purely selfish. I'm always just thinking about what do I want to do. So goat yoga, I wanted to do it. Haunted car wash, I wanted to do it. So honestly, it's so selfish. I'm just always thinking about what my kids would enjoy or what I would enjoy and what the community would enjoy. And then part of it too is, when I present the idea to my circle and ask them what they think, and they say, no, oh, that'll never work. I just forge ahead. So, yeah.
All right. Next question here from Kristen Dion. Allie, what are your current and biggest community needs?
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of generic, I think, but I think all nonprofits and for-profits are looking for people just to show up. So really just making sure that we're taking every instance we can to invest locally, to support locally. And even when things are free, which sounds kind of funny, but when I run free programming, a lot of our stuff is still about the numbers. Although we're trying to flip that narrative and not make it about the numbers, because I see value in it if 5 kids show up and they get something from a program we run. But then it still is, when I'm reporting back on grants or reporting back on programming and sponsorships, it comes down to numbers. And so for our free programming and also for the things that we're fundraising with, show up, put your money locally, keep it local, in every regards.
Here's a great comment here from Ganya Dunnigan Anderson. I've long been seeking the perfect breakfast wine. Remember, you can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning. I'll shoot a question over here to Eric. I know you've gotten creative with the wines over the year, but I want to come back to that initial business model. It essentially just had you recruiting groups of people that wanted to get together and make their own wine that they would then store and hang out. But it's so much more of an experience. Can you talk to me just a little bit about that experience of people coming together and what that's like and how that drives the income coming into Urban Winery? Eric, you're on mute or something. I don't know. I can't hear. Or maybe it's just me.
No, you're right. I was on mute.
Okay.
It's kind of hard to describe as far as the experience goes. It's a lot of fun to watch these groups, especially, I'll give you an example. I've got, let's say, probably 30 to 35 different wine clubs that get together on a regular basis and make and bottle wine. And over half of those groups fall into 2 employment categories, career paths, teachers and nurses. And when they get together, you go through a tasting, you taste 8 different wines. So everybody comes in with the stress of their day or their week on their back. And so the first couple of glasses of wine that they have is spent just venting about their day, and especially with these people that work together, it's a shared experience, and usually about halfway through, the joy of everything starts coming through, and whether that's part of the alcohol that they're consuming, or whether they're just done venting, I don't know. But there is a certain vibe at the winery with the art and with the pieces of furniture that are in there that create a relaxed environment. So those two things come together and kind of chill people out, and I think that's part of the experience. I think that's what people crave. They crave a spot where they can get together and vent, complain, and then towards the end, it's really a joyful experience, and maybe that venting is part of it. They
Thank
let
you.
it go.
Thank you, Eric. I wanted to be sure to emphasize the experience aspect of Urban Winery, because I think so often now people, they want to spend their money on experiences. One quick follow-up, then we have another question for Allie. When you said you mentioned over 30 wine clubs that are now at Urban Winery. Was the creation of a wine club your idea? Were you out there pitching that to people? Or did these wine clubs coming together just sort of naturally happen?
I think it's I honestly, I can't remember if I pitched this idea. I think it's just something that
It's just the longer your beard gets, the more you forget.
In the aggregate. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I think
it
it's
seems
just
like
in the aggregate. I think people want to get together.
But if you were going to franchise Urban Winery out and start a new one, that would be an immediate thing that you would incentivize and put out there to a new community. Start your own wine club. It begins here.
Absolutely.
Whereas in the initial opening of Urban Winery, it sort of happened naturally. Question from Evan Anderson. Allison, have you thought about sharing Full Steam Ahead with other North Dakota communities?
Oh, hey. I think I'm glitching in and out a little bit.
Allison, I think you're good to go. And I will read the question. Jonah, I think we've got your mic too, but Allison, have you thought about Full Steam Ahead with other?
My mic was muted. Sorry.
There you go. Okay. Well, Jonah, I'll let you do this. You know,
my mic somehow got muted there. Question from Evan Anderson. Allison, have you thought about sharing Full Steam Ahead with other North Dakota communities, almost like a franchising model, sharing best practices, etc.?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've had a couple of people who have partaken in part of our activities here who have moved. And so like Andy Ulin has been utilizing our model out in, I believe she's in Lakota now, branching out with the robotics, branching out with some like cool science stuff. We have Sarah out in Tioga. The biggest thing that has really branched out from and kind of shared with what we've done is robotics. I've kind of become like a mentor, I would say, to for sure Western North Dakota, and even as far as like Devil's Lake and Grand Forks, for communities who have tried to really branch out on the Lego robotics program. And then, like I said, so other things that we've done, like cool science or some after school enrichment classes, sign language, French, things like that. Absolutely. This whole model I've been reached out to say, how can we do this in our community? It's a little bit overwhelming, I think, because it encompasses so much to have someone, so some people reach out to me, they're like, okay, so I'm interested in what Full Steam Ahead is. And then I kind of tell them what all we do. And then they're like, whoa. So I've learned to quickly ask, which aspect of Full Steam Ahead are you interested in bringing to your community? And then let them know that, we didn't start out with theater, robotics, coding, science, sign language, pottery. We started out with theater and then grew. But yeah, absolutely, Evan. This is something that I am an open book to. Our financials, our business model, our everything. So if anyone is interested in bringing any of the aspects we've spoken about to your community, I would love to be a resource.
Yeah, certainly could appear overwhelming to somebody who wants to do what you do, and you've got this giant umbrella of activities for kids of all shapes, ages, and abilities. So really important to say you can start here, start with theater, or start with robotics, and then just branch out. I think another key part of that, Allie, it seems to be you've got to, either you or your team, you guys got some excellent grant writing skills over there, and that would seem to be essential to the process of what you're doing, or and for anybody else who would want to start something similar.
That is, Jonah, it's a great caveat off that. That's a great point. As a lot of people, a lot of our startup was on grant monies. We're not dependent on it now within our financial structure. I try not to be hugely, but our startup was grant funded. And so I hear people who reach out who say, I'd love to do this, but I'm nervous about that. And so that's another point that I think, yeah, we can help with and the biggest part of grants, I feel, is maybe I'm not a great writer, honestly. It's about pairing your request with the grant that wants to fund you. And so I can help with that now, especially locally. I have people reach out all the time who say, I have this idea, what kind of funding, or where do you think, or what grant would match? And that's a great question for people to send me, and the Minot Area Community Foundation, because again, it's not, thanks for the kudos, but not a great writer, but just know how to match what we need with maybe a grant that's out there.
Right on. Next question here for Mr. Eric Hansen. Eric, what regulatory issues do you work with in selling and making wine?
Well, the regulatory issues in North Dakota, as far as selling wine, have to deal with the 51% rule, where the wine that I sell, 50% of the wine that I sell has to come from local produce. And this is a big stumbling block for all wineries in North Dakota, because we don't have the climate to grow those grapes. So that's why you see a lot of rhubarb wine, you see a lot of choke cherry wine and stuff like that. Minnesota Supreme Court just ruled on a similar winery license that it's unconstitutional. So I think those things are going to lighten up. It's kind of strange that to get a brewer's license, you can buy your hops, your product for making your beer all over the world. You can, and it's not regulated that way. And yet all of the ingredients that you really need to make beer grow here. So I think that'll change. But for right now, it's the winery license gives me an opportunity to make these wines and come up with some of these recipes that I was talking about earlier, and in plans of expanding that. So I think those issues will resolve themselves. I think they're a little outdated. Other than that, if you come in here and make wine, you're making the wine, you're pitching the yeast, and you're bottling it. And according to the federal government, that's making wine. I don't do that. My customer does that. So that issue is solved right there.
Okay. A great question for both of you guys. Eric, we'll have you take it first from Scott Burlingame. What lessons has COVID taught you that you will take with you when this is all over?
Oh boy, lessons.
Life, business, or otherwise.
Well, I think it's all encompassing. I think it's showing us the value of getting together, and how we need that. When all the bars and restaurants were shut down back in late March, I'm somebody who really needs a lot of time alone. But by the end of April, I was longing for some human interaction, and I think I think just this experience has given me a greater appreciation for when we can actually get together and hug a little tighter. So I guess that's one lesson is appreciate the people around you.
Allie, same question. What lessons has COVID taught you that you will take with you when this is all over from the one and only Scott Burlingame?
Yeah, so Scott, thanks for the question. Yeah, I think from a organizational standpoint, I'm really trying to look to seeing that every challenge has a silver lining. And so with our programming, this has forced us to do a lot. I agree with Eric completely that we need to be together, and this has really pushed everyone to wanting to be together. But we've taken a lot virtually. And so it's really pushed us to think outside the box and how we can continue to deliver our programming to the people in an online format. So like in theater, for example, we've been doing some virtual plays. The theater companies have been writing these amazing plays where kids can get together, rehearse online, work together online, and put out this really fun production at the end of it all. And so I don't know that that's ever going to go away, because the neat thing with that is that we've pulled people in from Indiana, from states all over to work together to make these productions. And so, you know, every challenge, like I said, comes with a silver lining, and that silver lining of this might be that some of the things that we've learned and ways we've gone virtual with COVID are going to stick. And so it's kind of cool.
All right, this one from Tyler DeMars. Allie, Full Steam Ahead is awesome with so many initiatives under the Full Steam Ahead umbrella. How do you measure results? Which programs drive the most impact?
Because
it's got to be tough sometimes, because I feel like there's probably things that you've initiated and began that maybe didn't have the attendance or didn't perform as well. And we use this phrase a lot in creating like Good Night Live, and when we're writing scripts for our short films, that sometimes you got to kill your darlings. Sometimes you've got to admit this thing that you love doesn't belong in with what you're doing, and that is always very hard, especially if it's something that you wrote and feel attached to, which Absolutely. I imagine, you know, you must feel that sometimes.
Absolutely. So, you know, my mind goes to how do we measure our results and which programs driving the most impact. You know, numbers, like I said earlier, but we're trying to change that narrative, I feel like, in the nonprofit world, where I don't have to prove my success always by numbers. And so we do watch our numbers, but like Jonah, you said, some of our things aren't our biggest. I mean, we have 600 and some kids playing t-ball, which would seem hugely successful. But when that can support 10 kids putting on a production and getting on stage and overcoming their fears or their anxieties of public speaking, that is what we look to. So our board and our organization, in the beginning, when we were new, we were really numbers driven, because honestly, that's how we could get grants, get funding, get sponsorships. How many t-shirts will my logo be put on? But now that we're more established, we really look to the outcomes for the children. And so how are these children benefiting? And so we gather that information through like parent surveys, you know, questioning of parents, interaction in that regards. We also started last year an after school enrichment program, which we weren't able to kick off this year, but getting feedback from our instructors in that in regards to what the children are learning, how they're growing. And again, it might not be, was, you know, the child able to sew something perfectly by the end of the 4 weeks, but now they're communicating more effectively. They're more confident in their, you know, speaking and taking direction. And so there's so much more, obviously, to what our goals are with this program. Tyler, I think that it's unfortunate that I think new organizations, you kind of have to be driven by the numbers right now, because like I said, the numbers bring in the funding. But hopefully as the nonprofit community tries to change that narrative, and then as we can change that, then new organizations can also be driven by the two children who are able to overcome their anxiety and get on stage, and that being a win.
I've got a follow-up question for you, Allie. As I look at everything that Full Steam, that Full Steam Ahead does for this community, I would make the assertion that I think a lot of the kids who might benefit the most from the type of services that you guys provide are some of those who are in more challenging socioeconomic positions. Some of the kids who really need this enrichment are the kids who are on the borderline of poverty. Is there anything that Full Steam Ahead does to reach out to these kids whose parents and families would not be able to afford putting their children into anything that you guys are doing?
Absolutely. So fortunately, a lot of our programming is free. Cyber Patriots free, Lego Robotics is free, Girls Who Code will be a free program. We get sponsorship for a lot of our classes and camps now. And so we try to really just, from a financial standpoint, abolish that need. We also offer scholarships to families. So if it is a theater production, our bigger theater productions are free as well. If we're doing a smaller class, we offer scholarships. The bigger thing there, Jonah, that we came to learn was, okay, so you're offering all this free programming up at a studio on the south end of Minot, but there's still the same families coming over and over again. Why? And so with time and surveys and communication, we learned that, yeah, accessibility from kids don't drive. So
Sure.
we needed to get the kids there. And so that's how our after school enrichment program began. So last fall, we were able to kick off bringing most all of our STEAM programming that we do at the studio, theater, robotics, coding, and then we branched out French, cool science, sign language, all of those programs. Not this fall, but last fall, we were able to bring those to the kids at their schools. And so we had 11 schools, most of them outside of Minot, that were jumping on board and allowing their children to go from the bell rings into a classroom where we had an instructor with all the supplies ready to teach them. And so that was our biggest feedback that we were receiving, and one of the biggest challenges that we jumped over to say, okay, we love that we have our Full Steam Ahead families that come to everything.
But how do we get this to more people, especially those who really do need it in their lives?
Yep. So we brought it to them.
That's amazing. Well done. Shout out from 1 Million Cups. Teachers and nurses, always deserving of some wine, so much more deserving in 2020. Urban Winery providing an essential service. I most certainly agree. I don't myself have any further questions for you guys. If we have any more from the overall groups, where are we at with questions? Nothing else?
So I think
I'm fresh out.
Okay, and we're good. And we're doing great on timing. Again, what we normally do is we always ask the same last question each time with 1 Million Cups. And so usually our mic runner, when we're in the theater, asks this question. But I think, Jonah, here, I'm going to pull it up here. And
I can ask the question.
Yeah, I think
I know this one.
Okay, all right.
Final question, and this goes that, yeah, as Kate said, this is at the end of every 1MC. They ask all of the presenters this very question. What can we do as a community to help you succeed? Eric?
Well, I think just spreading the word, it still happens. I've been in business for 3.5 years, and I still get people at the winery every week that say, I never knew this was here. So just getting the word out that, if you like wine and you're interested in making wine, whether at the store or at home, because I provide all the ingredients, all the equipment that's necessary to make wine at home. Just getting the word out that this is available to our community, I think is really all I need. The best advertising is word of mouth, and we got 1 million mouths out there. Spread the word.
Same question to you, Allie. What can we do as the 1MC North Dakota community to help you succeed?
So I already went down the show up avenue earlier, so I'm going to twist this a little bit and say within Full Steam Ahead and within our youth programming, I want to ask the 1 Million Cups community, and just this is out to parents out there in general, don't limit your children. We offer so much programming, from theater to robotics to pottery. And what I see happen is that I see parents maybe putting out the idea that their child won't like this, or they won't succeed in this, or this isn't down their alley. And then a kid comes who has never done robotics, and the parent can't drag them out of the camp because they've had so much fun. And so, like I said, I already said show up, but that also includes parents, grandparents, aunts and uncles, really help to knock down those barriers that we maybe create from times past about what a kid might enjoy or what a gender might enjoy, and have your kids try something new. Put them on stage if they're willing. Send them to a robotics camp, because the growth and the challenge and the opportunity that comes from failure and the learning that goes on there is invaluable. So 1 Million Cups, show up and don't put up barriers for our youth. Let them explore all avenues.
I want to take that one step further to everybody listening and just tell the whole world of 1MC, don't put those barriers in front of your own self as an adult, let alone the kids in the world around you.
Jonah, I want to ask you, normally at the end of every 1 Million Cups, we talk about who's coming up next week and join us next week. But I wanted to save a couple of minutes to ask you, where are you guys at with the 1 Million Cups Minot chapter? How can people get involved? Maybe give us the quick rundown of the Minot Takeover. And has this been helpful for you? Or did you crash the car and you're going to be riding your bike for a while? How's that work?
I may not have crashed the car, but I think I jumped it. I think I hit a ramp somewhere and just I jumped it with the accelerated boost from these two amazing guests. I can't say where 1MC is in totality, and starting in Minot, I'm just one small piece of that puzzle. I'm maybe the guy willing to do a lot of the emceeing and hosting and guest finding, but the organizational of it all, that's maybe somebody like Auch there or Jess Ackerman. It takes a team, clearly, as I met the team down in Bismarck. So where it's going, certainly the opportunity is there. I know that COVID certainly put a kibosh on the plans a little bit, as it did for many of us throughout this year. I thought it would be over and done with by now, but I'm not gonna get on that horse. I'm looking forward to an encouraging 2021. I'm here, I'm willing, ready, and able to be part of 1MC Minot in whatever way that looks like. But it takes a team.
And Jonah, what's the best way, if there are people listening in the Minot area that want to maybe be a part of that organizer team, should they contact you? What's the best way for people to get involved in the Minot 1MC?
I got brought on to Minot 1MC by Miss Allison Auch right there.
Okay.
So
you volunteered yourself?
That's who brought me into the loop.
This just shows how things come full circle, because when I was approached to be a presenter on 1MC, I'm like, it's coming, it's here. So
her and I think Jess Ackerman was a pretty big part of it. There was a few people. Josh Walsky certainly was pushing for it. I've got plenty on my plate. I can always add one more thing.
Okay, and Eric, I noticed you didn't get voluntold to do anything. You can just be there as the good-looking guy that's drinking the coffee and rocking the beard. So, is that
okay? That works for me. I'll support in any way I can.
All right. So, Allison, is the best way for people to maybe get a hold of you if they're interested in becoming part of 1 Million Cups Minot community?
Yeah, you absolutely can. Like Jonah had alluded to, so we were full steam ahead with going after bringing 1 Million Cups to the community, and then COVID hit last February. We were at the point where our people were visiting other 1 Million Cups, like you and Fargo. That was the next step for us in the process, but we're near the end of that process, so it simply is going to take just reigniting the fire here, which I think this has done. So thank you, Jonah and Kate, and absolutely. If you're interested in being a part of bringing this to Minot, reach out.
Awesome. And you can maybe, Allison, if you want to put the email or something like that where people can get a hold of you in the chat here, and then they'll be able to do that. I'm really excited for you guys. We have had an awesome time with our 1 Million Cups Bismarck Mandan group going on more than 7 years. It's just the best way to start your day, especially in pre-times, to get some inspiration that kicks off your Wednesday. And just, it's been a great community of people. You saw Janya and Marlo and Evan asking questions. They're part of our organizing group. They're the ones who mostly mention drinking in the morning, which shouldn't be a shock for anyone who knows our crew. But we're very excited to hopefully have you guys coming on board and help any way we can. So if you're interested, you're out there in Minot, hey, you want this to come? You gotta do your part. You gotta be part of the organizing team. If you're a business looking to sponsor something like this in Minot, reach out too. You got to buy the coffee. You got to do all that fun stuff. And so it takes the support of your community. It takes a village. Many hands make light work. All of those types of things. So Jonah, you're going to take us out. I just want to remind everybody that our last 1 million cups of the year is next week. We usually take Thanksgiving through New Year's off, so Janya and Evan can do more day drinking. And so we will be back in January. We've already got a big slate of presenters lined up. Jonah, anything else you want to add as our Minot Takeover 1MC?
Hey, fabulous group from Bismarck 1MC. Again, I tip my hat to you guys being at this for more than 7 years now. Huge thanks to everybody who participated in the comments with the questions. And thank you today to our presenters, to both Allison, Auch, and Eric Hansen. They're doing a lot of great things in the community. I'd give one final shout out to the Good Talk Network. I'm host and owner here. Check out our new true crime podcast, Midwest Murder. Episode 2 just dropped this week. You get new episodes every other Monday.